So yesterday we read this book about museums, didn't we? What were some things that you noticed about this book?
Interesting.
It was interesting. What else?
They got all kinds of museums.
There were all kinds of museums. That's right.
Kind of funny.
It had some funny parts to it, didn't it? What part was funny to you?
The game and that.
Okay, yeah. That one was really funny, wasn't it? Okay. So there.
Is the crazy stuff.
The crazy stuff. Yeah, like what?
Like some people sign their buns, hot dog buns.
People even signed their hot dog buns and made a collection of it. How crazy is that?
And at the end they had where all the stuff came.
They did. That was very interesting. They had a map at the end that showed which countries came from. Okay, so tell me some of the things that they collected.
Like buns.
You mentioned that one. Yeah.
Dog collars.
Dog collars. Isn't that a different museum to go see? Yeah.
And chocolate.
And we thought that would be great, didn't we? Yeah.
But it was made out of chocolate.
The whole museum? That would be very interesting, wouldn't it?
They collect rocks.
Yeah.
And the old games.
That's right, old games. So y'all remember a lot of things that you read, and you also remember that one of the reasons that you liked this book is because it was really interesting and unusual, right? Yeah. So let's think about some of the things that you might put in a collection.
Maybe neat stuff.
Neat stuff,
Like
stuff that's really neat to you. You could create a collection.
Interesting.
Interesting stuff. What about you, Makai?
Gold stuff.
Gold stuff. Oh, that would be really nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. And then you could write a book about it too, couldn't you? Yeah. All right, one of the things that I want you to do is turn to page 2. And let's look at the heading on page 2. What's the heading say?
Wild collections.
Wild collections. I want us to look at that word, collections. Okay? Can y'all tell me, just from looking at this word, what the base word would be?
Yeah.
What would it be?
Collection.
Collection? Yeah. So, yeah, collection without the S, because the S is a suffix, isn't it? It's an ending, okay? And what is the base word of collection? There's a collect. Very good. So when we know one word, what does it mean to collect something?
I mean, to go search for it. You see if you go find something in the water.
Yeah. Some things that maybe are alike in some way, and you gather them.
Yeah.
Is that what collect means?
Go search for them.
Yeah, go search for it. Okay. So collect means to do what?
It means to collect stuff. They collect the buns and they not eat them. Look.
Okay.
It was collect mean like the collect old stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So they. Okay. And some collections are from a long time ago. When I ask you to collect something, what would I be asking you to do? Go find it. Yeah, and gather it together. And when we do that, we call that a collection. Okay? A collection is something that you've gathered together for a purpose. So know that sometimes when you know the base word, it helps you to understand the other words, right?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Let's put this book aside, and we're going to look at a new book today to read, okay? Today is called Sashas Lunch. Sasha's a little girl, and she goes to school. And what's interesting, one of the things that's interesting about this book is what it says right down here. It says, Mrs. O's class series. Do you know what a series of books is?
It's like a whole bunch of books, but it has the same author and the same title, probably.
Something about it similar, isn't it? The same author and maybe the same characters in it. So this is the first book in the series of Miss O's class, okay? So where do you think this book's going to take place?
In the kitchen or cafeteria.
Maybe in a cafeteria, because if it's in Miss O's class, right? Yeah.
I think it's in the kitchen or the cafeteria is, because I can notice it on the front of
Okay,
the cover.
that's right. And the pictures always do help us, right? When you look at the title page, you're going to see some of the students in Miss O's class, okay? And there's one particular student, Sasha, and she has a problem.
What?
She hates school lunch.
That's the best part of the day.
You like that? That's your favorite part of the day? Well, the reason that she hates it is 2 times when she ate a school lunch, she threw up.
Ew.
Like a volcano. Isn't that something? So I understand why she's worried about that, don't you? So in this story, she forgot her lunch. And she thinks, I am in big trouble. Can you think that somebody could actually throw up just because of eating school lunch?
No.
No. So you think maybe she's confused as to why she's throwing up? Well, we're going to read and find out, aren't we?
She's sick.
Maybe she was just sick anyway. Yeah. And she just happened to eat school lunch right before she got sick, okay? So I'm going to let you turn to page 3, and I'm going to tell you who some of these characters are. On page 3, there's Max. He's in a chair. And there's Tony. And Tony has on sort of an orange shirt. And Gabe has on a red shirt. He's putting his hands over his stomach and groaning. Do you know what it means to groan? Oh, no. That's right. Tony is saying that lunches at this school are good. He said that he had mystery meat and vegetable mush at his old school.
Ew.
Ew. What do you think he meant by that?
Like,
What do you think he meant by mystery meat and vegetable mush?
something kind of weird.
Yeah, something kind of weird. If it's a mystery, it's like we can't even tell what it is.
Like he had never ate it before.
And he's never eaten it before. And vegetable mush doesn't sound very tasty either, does it? No. All right, I want you to say the word mystery, and we're going to clap the syllables, okay? Mystery. Good job. 3 parts to that word. See if you can find the word mystery on page 3. Good job. Good job. I like the way you were looking all the way through the word, and you didn't just look at the word that started with an M, but you looked all the way through. So that's good. That's what good readers do. So Tony means that that food didn't taste very good. It was kind of a mystery, okay? But Sasha has some bad memories about school lunches. About a half hour after she ate, she threw up 2 different times, so she's a little worried about that. Let's look at page 6. That happened a long time ago. Sasha's older now, but she still remembers what happened. On page 6, there's a picture of Gabe, and he's imitating what happened to Sasha. He grabbed his stomach and dropped to the floor and rolled around. The teacher is Miss O. Do you see her in the picture?
Yes.
Yeah. O is short for Ockerblum. Ockerblum. Can you say Ockerblum?
Ockerblum.
Yeah. See if you can find the word Ockerblum on page 6. Very good. Read it again for me.
Ockerblum.
Ockerblum. Yeah. That's why they call her Miss O. Because it's easier to say, isn't it? Okay? So in this book, Miss Ockerblum decides to let Sasha go down to the cafeteria and talk to the lady in the cafeteria, the cook there, and talk to her about her problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, or to just see what she's doing in there, see if she's fixing some food that might be good, okay? Let's turn to page 9. The cook at the schools, her name is Mrs. Beale. And Sasha could see her in the kitchen, but everything in the kitchen was so large. There are 2 words on page 9 that mean very large. Look on page 9 and see if you can see them. You found the word large, and you found the word gigantic. Yeah, and there's one more word that means very big. What is it?
Giant.
Giant, yeah. So when you get to those words, you'll know what they are as well, won't you? When Sasha got to the cafeteria, she found that Mrs. Beale's 7th grade kitchen helper was absent. So Sasha helped Miss Beale. She helped her roll out the pizza dough. It's important for y'all to remember that Miss Beale is new to the school. She's a new cook at that school, and she's different from the cooks that they had before. She says she threw out all the frozen food and all the canned food and all the fake food that wasn't really healthy for them. So what do you think is going to happen now that Sasha's down there with her?
She's gonna help cook.
Maybe she could help cook? What else?
Or she might help get everything ready.
Mike could just help get all the food prepared, okay? What were you going to say?
I don't think, I don't know.
Nothing other than what they already said? Yeah, you were thinking some of the same stuff maybe? Good, okay.
It's okay if she says some of the same stuff.
You do? I do too. I think it's really good when you think like other people sometimes. Yeah. All right, let's turn to page 14 and 15. And what can you see that they're making there? What does that look like? It looks like pizza?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets to taste it. And
Oh, she's tasting it, getting an idea about it.
And then she thinks it tastes delicious, I think.
Can you tell from the picture what kind of cheese they're putting on this pizza?
String cheese?
Look kind of like string cheese. Might be cheddar cheese. Do you know the kind of cheese that they usually put on pizza? What color is it?
Yellow.
Yellowish, It's a real light yellow, almost a whitish color. Do you know what we call that kind of cheese?
No.
Mozzarella. Can you say that?
Mozzarella.
That's the kind of cheese that they're putting on the pizza. See if you can find the word mozzarella. It's on page 14. Yeah, you found it in 2 places, didn't you? Good job.
It's in my name.
Part of your name is in mozzarella, isn't it? Because your name is Ella. How smart you are to see that and notice that.
Her name is in a book.
Can you believe it? Amazing. All right, so as you begin, I'm going to let you start reading this story, okay? And as you begin, I want you to think about how the writer is showing you that Sasha's attitude towards school lunch might change and who helped her to see that change, okay? All right? Let's start back at the first, and y'all just read silently. Can you read for me, Caroline?
No, Amanda exclaimed. Gabe fell into his chair and groaned. But lunches are good, Tony said. We had mystery meat and vegetable mush at my old school. Tony's new. He doesn't know about Sasha and lunches, Max said. Everyone looked at Sasha and waited for her to explain.
Good job. Keep going. Makai, can you read? Okay. Wherever you are. No, you start wherever you are. Okay.
Had mystery meat and vegetable mush at my old school.
Mm-hmm.
Tony knew he doesn't know about Sasha and lunches. Matt said everyone looked at Sasha and wait for her to explain. Sasha's face was bright red, but she said, if I eat a school lunch, I throw up. Everything grabbed a green, like a volcano.
My goodness.
Max wheeled his chair back a little. He was sitting next to Sasha. The first time she threw up,
What do you think that means? Do you know what it means when somebody says bullseye?
That means something bad's gonna happen.
That's what it sounds like, doesn't it? A bullseye is like a target, and she hit the target, okay? So let's think about how they would say that. Let's read this sentence. Start right here again.
He was sitting next to Sasha. The first time she threw up, bullseye.
Yeah. So if you were saying that somebody threw up on top of you, wouldn't you think you would say bullseye? Kind of like you're excited and scared at the same time? Can you try that?
Bullseye.
Good.
Maybe you had the flu, Tony said.
All right, you keep reading silently. Ella, let me hear you.
Do I start right here or start right here?
Whatever page you're reading on. Okay?
Sasha went through the lunchroom. It didn't smell like most lunchrooms. Most of them smelled like eggs or fish and strong cleaners. This one smells like her dad's spicy tomato sauce. She went over to the kitchen. First, Sasha saw large pots and pans and gigantic spoon and whisk.
Can you cover up the S on the end and just look at the base word?
S on the
Yeah, cover up the S right there.
whisk.
Yeah, do you know what a whisk is?
Like you had to stir it
For stirring, yeah, good.
Whisk. Then she saw Miss Bill behind a giant help.
I like the way you're pausing and trying to work it out when you come to a word that you're not sure of. Okay? Remember yesterday when we talked about starting the sentence over? Let's try that.
Then she saw Miss Bell behind a giant help.
But you know that doesn't make sense, right? That's good. Let's think what would make sense. Where is she standing behind a giant? Yeah.
Heap.
A heap. Yeah. Do you know what a heap is? It's like a pile. Okay? So it's all heaped up. It's all piled up. Good.
You're Sasha, right? Miss Bell called out. Sasha nodded. Miss O must have called ahead. Sasha was glad she didn't have to tell Miss Bell her problem.
You go ahead and keep reading silently, okay? Read for me.
This kitchen, it was a mess when I got here last year. Mrs. Beale roared at Sasha.
Make sure you're reading all the words, Ella, okay?
Not an onion, not a pepper, not a bit of real food in here. Just plastic wrapped chalk. I don't know how you kids ate that stuff. I don't know either, Sasha said. I threw all that fake food right out the door. Mrs. Bill bellowed.
Do you know what that means? Can you imagine what it would mean? Can you think? Well, I threw all that fake food right out the door. Mrs. Beale bellowed. How do you think she said that?
She threw all the food out the door.
That's what she's saying. She said it not very softly. She said it loudly.
No frozen pizza or canned sauce in my kitchen. I like real food, tomatoes, spices, and lots of garlics. Stir. Now taste it, Mrs. Bill ordered. See if it needs more salt.
Good job. You can read silently now. You read for me a little bit, Makai?
The next thing Shastra knew, she was rolling out piece of dough. The rolling pin was huge. The pizza pan was huge. Miss Bill's voice was huge.
Let's think about that for a minute. Let's think about how the author might want you to read that a little bit differently, okay? The rolling pin was huge. The pizza pan was huge. Mrs. Beale's voice was huge. Try to read it a little bit like that.
The rolling pin was huge. The pizza pan was huge. Miss Bill's voice was huge.
Yeah. Better. Keep going.
This kitchen was a mess when I got here last year. Miss Bill she wrote.
That's a good try. Cover up the suffix, the ed, on that word. Okay, now you're just looking at the base word. Yeah, what could that be? Roar.
Roar at Sasha.
Mm-hmm.
Not an onion. Not a pepper. Not a bit of real food.
And keep going quietly. Read for me.
Sasha opened her mouth and take a big bite. Then she remembered what happened back in 3rd grade. She stopped. Oh, that's tasty. Miss Bill cried. I worked real hard in this hot old kitchen, but it's worth it when kids like you enjoy my meal.
That's kind of a turning point.
Miss Bill was watching her, waiting for her to take a bite, but she couldn't eat school lunches. She couldn't, but she really had. She had tasted the salt. She had tasted the cheese.
Really good job going back and fixing it up.
Had it been a half hour yet. She looked at the clock, but she couldn't remember when she took her first nibble. Miss Bill was still watching.
Okay, you can read the rest by yourself. Can you read for me, Caroline?
Said Gabe. And exactly half an hour later, nothing happened at all. Sasha's lunch, the play.
This is just the next part of the story, but this is the end of the story, okay? This is taking the story and making it into a play, okay? So you can either read that, or you can go back and start the book over, or you can look at the museum book, whichever you want to do, now that you're through. Y'all loved it, didn't you? Okay. I have no idea. That goes along with our question about the toilet museum. Can you read for me, Makai?
She stopped. Oh, that's tasty. Miss Bill cried. I worked real hard in this hot old kitchen, but it's worth it when kids like you enjoy my meals. Miss Bill was watching her, waiting for her to take a bite, but she couldn't eat school lunches. She couldn't, but she already had. She had tasted sauce. She had tasted cheese. Had it been a half hour yet? She looked at the clock, but she couldn't remember when she took her first nibble.
You know what a nibble is?
Bite.
A little bite, that's right.
Miss Bill was still washing. Sasha started to put the pizza down, but this food was different from the food she ate back in 3rd grade. Wasn't it?
I like the way you read that like you were asking a question. Good
And
job.
no matter what happened, Sasha just couldn't hurt Miss Bill's feelings. She closed her eyes. She took a bite. Then she grinned at Miss Bill. It was the best pizza she ever tasted. You ate down there, didn't you? Max said. You got sauce on your lips. Amanda said stay away from her for the next half hour. Said Grace. And exactly half an hour later, nothing happened at all.
Is that good news? Why?
Because she didn't.
That's right. That is good news. Okay, let's go back and look at Sasha again, all 3 of us together. I'm going to hold your book for you just a minute so I can see it really well. Let's turn to page 2. One of the things that y'all were working on, which I thought was really good, is y'all are starting to try to read it like you're telling a story, like you're talking to me about what happened. And I think you would be pretty excited if you thought somebody was fixing to get sick and that if they ate a school lunch, right?
I think I figured out their problem.
Okay, what is the problem?
That the cafeteria lady who was making the food, I think she was making them eat fake food, and that's probably why she was throwing up.
Yeah.
And then when she ate the pizza that they made together, it tasted delicious and she didn't throw up.
So a new lady came to the school. They got a new cook, and they got rid of what?
The fake food.
The fake food. Is it really fake food, like made out of cardboard, or is it just, no, it's just food that's not very tasty. Yeah. It's been frozen for a long time. Yeah.
I'm glad the new lunch lady didn't make them have that.
I am too. That really changed the story, didn't it? Yeah, yeah. So, what do you think? So do y'all agree that's the problem in the story?
Yes.
That she's going to get sick if she eats this cafeteria food. She didn't bring her lunch. She forgot it. So what are we going to do? So her teacher lets her go down to the cafeteria, right? And what happmes there?
Oh, she helped that. She helped this lunch lady. Lunch lady.
She sure does.
And she gets to taste the food.
Yeah, so she helps her make it, and then she gets to
helps
taste it. Is she all excited about tasting the food the first time?
She's
Not
kinda
really.
nervous.
Nervous. That's a good word to use. Sometimes we might say she's a little anxious about that. And sometimes we say she has anxiety. That means she's just a little nervous about it, right? Okay. So, so what happens?
She didn't throw up.
She didn't throw up? Did she? What happened before that? She's sitting there thinking, I don't know if I can do this or not.
She was kind of scared of eating it at first, but
Yeah.
then she closed her eyes and tasted, and it tasted delicious to her.
Okay. That was a good thing. Yeah. So one of the things that I want you to think about is how the author of this book, she had her main character. Who's this book mostly about? Sasha. But she introduces another character that's going to help the main character. Who did she introduce? Miss Beale, yeah. Yeah, I knew you were going to say it. Yeah, she did. And she's a person that kind of helped change. She sure did, okay? Let's look here toward the last part. I want to find the place that says, I'm sure Miss Beale will know what to do. Do you remember reading that? You don't? Okay. One of the reasons that the author makes a statement like that is she's trying to get you to think, and y'all have been really good thinkers today. She's trying to get you to think about why she wrote that, and it makes you start thinking, how is Miss Beale going to be able to be the one to help? So you start thinking and predicting, and we call that foreshadowing, okay? So they're giving you a little piece of something that might happen later in the story, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I love the way y'all were thinking today. One other thing I want to talk to you about is when you read it, we talked about this just a minute ago before we talked about the problem, to read it like you're telling a story, okay? So let's look on page 12. Caroline, I noticed when you read this, you said, let's start kind of in the middle of the page where you see the word not. Let's start right here at the end of this line. And I'm going to read this for you, and then I want y'all to read it after me, kind of like I did, okay? Let's do it. Listen to me read it. Not an onion, not a pepper, not a bit of real food in here. Just plastic wrapped junk. And that's what I noticed that you did, Caroline, when you were reading it. You said just plastic wrapped junk, just like you were talking to me. And that made me understand the book better. Let's see if we can read. Let's start right here with not. Y'all do it together with me. Not an onion, not a pepper, not a bit of real
food in here. Just wrapped. Hold on.
Just plastic wrapped junk. That's exactly right. That's how I want you to read. And you started doing it some today, and I want you to do it every time you read, okay? Every sentence doesn't have to be read like a question or an exclamation, but when you do come to an interesting part, read it like you're telling me the story. You think you can do that, Makai? I think you can too. What about you, Caroline? What about you, Ella? I think you can too. Good job.